Okay, so my name's Tim. I was asked to share a bit of my testimony today. So me and my family, we came to Canada from Sri Lanka back in 2008. And so when I first came here, it was at the beginning of high school. Of course, back then I had a really thick Sri Lankan accent. And obviously I worked really hard to get rid of it with a number of other things. And so in the process of trying to get rid of it, I started wanting to hang out with the cooler kids. And of course, that comes with what typical high school kids consider cool. Drugs, violence, all that sort of stuff. And so I started continuously hanging out with them, and this caused a deep rift between myself and my family. My parents had given up a lot to come to Canada. My dad had a really good job back home in Sri Lanka. And so when we came here, and as he saw his oldest kid essentially destroying his life, they went into a lot of depression. And eventually, I came to know the Lord, but it wasn't, I didn't submit to him. The world quickly took me back. And so I would do things like, I would do certain things and then often challenge God, like, oh, if you are God, then prove yourself to me, right? I was in that sort of path of my lifestyle. And this one day I was at a party, and of course before the party, being a cool kid, we had to prepare for the party. And so part of this preparation was to concoct basically a combination of drugs. The idea was to, those eyedroppers, you should take the eyedropper and take 1 or 2 drops every half an hour. Well, me being myself, I'm like, oh, if you're really God, prove yourself to me. And I ended up consuming the whole thing. So it was like 300 milliliters of this concoction. And of course, after that, EMS was called. I was taken to the hospital, and somehow my mom and my dad, they found themselves at the hospital as well. And basically, I was flatlined. I was basically pronounced dead in front of my parents. And of course, I had an out-of-body experience that takes a lot more time to go into, but essentially, up until this point, I would read the Bible and I would hear these stories, like, God asked Lazarus to walk up and he rose from the dead and walked up, and it would just be a story to me. But at that point, when that happened, I realized that it was more than just a story. The reason I'm standing here today is because God had told me that your time to rest is not come yet. And so, in front of my parents, I came back to life. And of course, I wasn't able to speak for a week or two after that incident. There was just so much sensory overload in that experience that I had. If you guys read the end of the book of Job, God tells to Job, I'm the God who created the mountains and the streams of the earth, and all the birds and the streams that cry out to me. Like, you can experience and hear and feel all of that, and that experience that I had, and it was just too much for me to take in. And so I was like, basically, I literally couldn't speak for a week. And so, anyways, after that point in my life, my entire family, my dad is a very stubborn man, but after this incident, after he saw what had happened, he converted. He became a true believer. So did the rest of my family. And I guess my challenge to all of you guys is, if God can do something like that to me, I was truly a despicable person. Like, I deserved no love. It was very hard for people to love me because of the way I was living my life. Even my parents struggled to love me. So God can do something like that to me. I'm sure he can work miracles in everyone's lives here today.